Mary Lou, how old were you during the time of the flood?
Well, if we take 64 from 33, or 33 from 64, well, I was 31 years old, and I'm 80 years old now.
And one thing I want to remind you is when you answer in complete sentences, because my questions won't actually be part of the interview. So it'll be like,
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'll ask you that question again. So Mary Lou, how old were you at the time of the flood?
I was 31 years old at the time of the flood in 1964, and I'm 80 years old now.
And did you have a family then?
Yes, I did. I had two small sons and a husband, and then my parents and my brother also lived here in Eureka.
And what did you do for a living during that time?
Most of the time I was stay-at-home mom, but whenever they needed anything to be done at the bakery, everything from driving a truck to running a bread machine to icing pastry, why they always knew that I was on call because my mother was always there available to take care of my children for me.
And your family owned or managed Big Loaf Bakery?
Yes, my father was manager of Big Loaf Bakery at the time, and later on when he resigned, then my husband was manager of the bakery.
How did the people in the community react when the flood happened?
Well, it wasn't, the flood didn't really happen here, and so therefore we weren't aware of what was going on until we found what the extent of the flood waters were, and then of course we all sprang into action. There were people that were observing from helicopters, and everybody just tried to do their part.
How did the flood impact the bakery, Big Loaf Bakery?
We had people that lived in Crescent City, and we had to get bread up to them. We had somebody else that lived in Garberville, and so we had to get bread down there also. And of course the bread is the staff of life, and anyone can exist at least and make their tummies happy if they have a loaf of bread, even if they don't have any jam to go on it. And also it's pretty portable, and you don't have to have a can opener to open it. So, and you don't have to cook it. So it was one of the primary things that needed to get out to the community.
Now, you changed the size of the loaf pan during the flood.
Yes, we knew that people didn't have kitchens, didn't even have homes, so there was no use in making 1.5-pound loaves of bread, which was more used in those days. And so we got out some old pans of 1 pound and started making bread in those pans.
And how did you, the freeways were out, how did you get flour to the bakery?
Well, we had some flour on hand, of course, because we always had some way ahead. However, the only way that we could figure out to get bread, or the only way we could figure to how to get flour into Eureka was by barge. And so there was a Wellman Peck dealer here that had canned goods, and there was the bakery, and I don't know who the other businessmen were that got together, but they got a barge to come in to the bay. And I know that I can remember how concerned my father was, because he was so afraid that his flour was going to get wet.
That would make for a bad loaf of bread.
Would make a no loaf of bread.
How did you get the bread to some of these communities that were cut off?
Well, in one instance, we went north, and the Klamath Bridge was out, and so we had the men from Crescent City bring a truck down to the river, and then we took a full load of bread up in a truck, and there was a barge that went across there, and they weren't charging us, but they believed that there were other people that were charged if they were just traveling through. But anyway, we would go up there and take one truck across on the barge and trade it for the other one. The full one would go back up north, and we'd come back to the bakery and start filling that one up again. And then in Rio Dell, the bridge approach going to Scotia was out. And so they did build like a sidewalk that was about 4 feet wide, had railings on it, luckily. And my brother and one of the other people from the bakery carried 2 pallets at a time over and to the other side of the bridge, and then came back and did the same thing over and over and over again, which took a lot of time because 2 pallets of bread isn't very much.
And then you were talking about your brother was one of the first ones on a convoy that went through. How did that work?
No, that was in the 1955 flood, so
Oh, okay.
no, that didn't have anything to do with this one.
Okay. What effect did the flood have on your family?
I don't know that it affected us this much. Of course, we were very concerned about all of those people because some of them were our people that lived down there, so it didn't. I think my father didn't get very much sleep, but I still did.
And how did it affect the Christmas holiday? Maybe it didn't for you, but do you think it did for other people?
Well, of course, there were a lot of people that wanted to do things, but you can't gather up a bunch of toys and take them to be handed out to children like they do now. There were places, though, in school cafeterias where people were fed, and you could get things to them. But it was just a very, very sad holiday time.
And do you think people worked really well together to kind of overcome the effects of the flood? Because it wasn't just like the flood came, the rain came, and then it was over. There was a long period of recovery.
Yes, there was, and but I really wasn't that involved in that. But I think that in those days, where there was more a feeling of togetherness than there is now, we didn't have all of the communication ways to get in touch with other people. We didn't know. They didn't have cell phones, so we didn't know where they were or what they were doing or what they needed.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mary Lou, I was going to ask you, about a week after the flood, there was a big snowstorm that became a big issue back in the hills. But I understand there was even snow in Eureka. Do you remember that?
I don't remember any snow here.
No snow. You don't remember the snow. Also, I've been reading the 1964 newspapers down at the library, and they also said there was practically another flood on January 7th. Do you remember that?
No, I don't know, but remind me to, in a few minutes, I am a volunteer in the library, and I understand that you were there in that reference room a lot.
Yeah.
And I also have a full page of things that, did you see the wild eel, the book, wasn't that the name of one book? There are two books that are about the Eel River, and it seems to me it was called The Wild. I've got it on a piece of paper. I've just got to find it over there.
No, I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, there's Did you find any? Did anybody help you in the reference room to
You mean the Humboldt room?
Yeah.
No, I haven't spent a lot of time in the reference room. I've been mostly over in the newspaper. You know where the microfiche is.
Yeah, because you're with Marilyn Malota.
Right, and another thing that I've been seeing a lot of is that all these military helicopters that have been flying. Was any of the bread from the
Yeah, some of it, that was another thing, that we could drop the bread from helicopters into people that because I mean it would be a little smashed, but it wasn't like a quart of milk.
So you're saying that your truck would make a delivery to Murray Field, for example? Or?
Right, that and all of this, like all those 1 pound loaves of bread, were all gratis. Nobody was charged for that.
Right.
It was just a contribution.
Great.
So Mary Lou, you could answer through Jennifer, so we have you still in the eye line of the camera.
Oh, are we still talking?
I wanted to ask you a question.
I see.
Yeah.
So since this is sort of like an archiving of maybe other stories that may not be part of the film, if there's anything else that we didn't ask you that you might have, maybe some short stories or anything else that you want to bring up about your experience?
No, I think I pretty well blabbed a lot to her, and she was making notes when I talked to her on the telephone.
You know, I wish you would say the part about that the loaves of bread were gratis again, just because I know that you were talking when she was saying that, and so wanted to
Yes.
get that. Did people pay for the bread?
No, everything that we did was gratis. That was the last thing people were worried about was money. We were more involved and interested and caring about all of those people that had lost their homes.
Perfect.